This is what I did in October 25th, 2010 in music class. Well, first we discussed about what we're going to choose for experiences or memorable moments. I chose leaving leaving Singapore and going to Korea. And that represents sadness of leaving all my friends, my apartment, memorable places and experiences in Singapore. And next one, it's gonna be being nervous and being confused, and it's like how I'm supposed to blend in a new school, a new country that is way different from Singapore. And that's what I'm gonna choose for nervous. And then I'm gonna choose living in Korea and going to GSIS and getting used to Korea and already blended in GSIS. So I chose that as happiness and having a good life in Korea with my friends and my family, and yeah, having lots of good experiences and sometimes difficult experiences in Korea. Then I chose happiness, going to K college, which is in the future. I chose that for the future, and it's going to Stanford University, and that's gonna be happiness. It's gonna be happiness. And then after that, I chose also happiness again, and this one is also in the future, which is being a billionaire of designing interiors, and that are very different from unique from other interiors, and that's being a billionaire by being a famous interior designer. And after that, after we discussed our moments, we chose an instrument that we're gonna choose for to present our moments. First, I chose the keyboard because I am very used to the keyboard. In the keyboard, I kind of did basic notes to get an idea how am I supposed to express myself sadness on in leaving Singapore to Korea. Well, I just made a brief. Hello, my name is Sejan Park, and I'm going to tell you what I did in music on October 28, 2007 on Thursday. Well, first, because we already planned what are the three events that we're gonna do, we're now trying to get an idea of how are we gonna express our composing for our three events. Well, as I told you before, I chose the keyboard. Now, I first tried out of a happy feeling of having a good life in Korea, like a jumpy and a good good um good composing piece for happy. And then I got like I it was very short because like during the other time I used because half of the time I got images for my composing, and that's what I did for the half of the time, and the other half I composed a really short song to get a basic idea of how am I gonna represent my three or more events. That's what I did in music class. Then first we had to share our composing piece of what we have so far. Um, most of them chose a event where it's nervous or sad or surprised. Like for example, like they have a staccato notes, and they had different melody, and it was pretty good. And then some of them were soft and some of them were jumpy. Yeah, and that's what I heard while we were sharing our our piece. And then when I had to represent mine was allegro, which is soft because mine is about happy. In the middle of that piece there was staccato. And then yeah, that's how I composed my short basic main idea for my composition. And that's what I did in music class on October 28th, Thursday in 2010. Thank you. Hello, my name is Sejan Park, and I'm gonna tell you what I did in November 1st, 2010 in music class? Well, we first of all we did the same thing as we did last Thursday, which is having a now. But then that day we start to get to compose like the real one, not composing basic short pieces. Now we were planning of now our first event. Well, first, my first event is about sadness. It was about I was having a good life in Singapore, but then suddenly I have to leave Singapore and I need to move to Korea. And that's what I had to express for my first event. So first I started an opening where it was happy. Today is November 4th, 2010 on today's Thursday. Now I'm gonna tell you what I did in music class. Well, we now went. Finally, I composed my first event, which is happiness to sadness, and it's about 3 minutes long, and I had to edit it for a long time during music class because there were some mistakes while I was recording it with the cable that connected to my computer and the keyboard. It was actually good better than I thought because I thought mine wouldn't be that creative, but I made it very creative. And yeah, and that's what I did in music class. Then after that, I had to show Miss Ham, and Miss Ham said to go to my next event, which is nervous. But I had some difficulties of expressing nervous, so Miss Ham gave me an example of doing staccato with melodies that didn't match together, like and so I got a basic idea of how am I supposed to express nervousness because for my second event it's about me living in Korea and then not having friends in Korea because it's a new country and then trying to blend in a new school. And that's what I did on November 4th, 2010 on Thursday. Thank you. But then it only lasted for like 20 seconds, and then the other minute I start to be sadness, so it's allegro, but then it's a little sad. It had sad melodies that yeah, and I used like both hands, like so one hand's bass and one hand is melody, and then I made it allegro to make it more sad. And that's what I did for my first event, and then I recorded myself with a cable, and then when I recorded it and when I heard the song again, it wasn't that great, so I chose not to do that for my first event. So I was planning again what to do for my first event, sadness. And then first of all, I got a similar to the first one I recorded, but it's a little different because it's not because the first one I did was too short, so I made it a little longer, but not too long because it might be too boring. And then and then I kind of got a basic idea what I want to do for my first event again. And then so on Monday I basically planned out, and then after that I try to plan on my final one for my first event, and that's what I did on Monday.